Before you point a finger at the dirt in your neighbor's yard, ask yourself one question. Is your own house on fire while you are busy watching theirs? Today, we are going on a 7-minute journey into the heart of a mystery that shook an entire village. A story about a woman who saw everyone's secrets but was blind to her own tragedy. Welcome home to Softwords Nija. Before we begin this epic tale, I want to invite all my Softlanders to join our growing family. If you value wisdom, character, and the pursuit of a peaceful life, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. You are in the right place. Now let us begin. In the heart of Omoikee village, there was a woman whose eyes were sharper than a hunter's arrow and whose ears were more sensitive than a forest deer. Her name was Mama Sarah, but in the secret corners of the marketplace, they called her the human radar. Mama Sarah lived in a house that sat on a hill, a position that allowed her to watch the smoke rising from every kitchen. She didn't just live in Omoikee, she patrolled it. You see, Mama Sarah believed she was the moral compass of the village. She was the woman who knew which girl stayed out past the first cockcrow. She was the woman who knew which husband was drinking his children's school fees at the local palm wine bar. At every wedding, Mama Sarah was there, not to dance, but to measure the length of the bride's dress. At every funeral, she was there, counting how many pieces of meat the widow took, whispering to her neighbors, "Look at her. She is already eating like a woman who is happy her husband is gone." Mama Sarah's tongue was a sharp blade, and she used it to prune everyone's family tree but her own. She believed that by exposing the dirt in other homes, she was making her own house look cleaner. She lived a hard life disguised as a holy life. But as we say in the land of the Softlanders, the sun shines on the rooftops first, but eventually, it reaches the gutter. But the greatest weapon in Mama Sarah's arsenal was her children. She had 3, Sarah Jr., Paul, and little Grace. To the village, they were the golden trio. They were the only children allowed to wear white lace every Sunday. They were the ones who sat in the front row of the church, eyes closed so tightly in prayer that you would think they were seeing the gates of heaven itself. Mama Sarah used her children as a lash to whip other mothers. When Mrs. Okoro's son was caught fighting in the street, Mama Sarah would walk past Mrs. Okoro and say, Neka, I heard about your son. What a pity. You should have been more like me. My Paul doesn't even know the way to the village square unless I am holding his hand." Training a child is a spiritual work, not for the lazy. She was Oversabi in its highest form. She knew the secret sins of the chief, the hidden debts of the teachers, and the silent struggles of the widows. She would stand at the village stream and announce, "If only everyone could be like my household, this village would be a paradise." But what Mama Sarah didn't realize was that when you build a wall too high, you cannot see what is happening on the other side, even if that other side is inside your own compound. She was so busy being a judge that she forgot to be a mother. She provided her children with rules, but she never provided them with a heart. She gave them a lamp to show the world, but she never checked if they had oil in their own souls. Then came the month of the great New Yam festival. The village was full of visitors. The king had invited dignitaries from the city. This was Mama Sarah's favorite time. It was her grand stage to show off her perfect family. The disaster didn't come with a shout. It started with a whisper that Mama Sarah didn't hear first. During the royal procession, 3 black vans pulled into the village square. They weren't visitors. They were the special task force from the city. The village went cold. The king stood up. The commander walked straight past the village rascals, past the drunkards, and stopped directly in front of Mama Sarah's house. He didn't find a thief in the gutter. He found Paul, the holy Paul, in the back room with 3 laptops and a stack of forged documents. The boy who Mama Sarah said didn't know the way to the square was the mastermind of a citywide fraud ring. As Paul was let out in handcuffs, Mama Sarah's scream tore through the air. "It's a frame-up. My son is a saint. You have left the sinners to arrest an angel." But the people didn't look at her with anger. They looked at her with a chilling, heavy silence. But the forest of secrets had more trees to drop. In the chaos, Sarah Jr., the modesty queen, fainted. When the women rushed to untie her heavy velvet wrapper to give her air, the truth spilled out. Beneath the starched lace was a belly 6 months heavy with a child whose father was a notorious woodcutter Mama Sarah had called a curse just a week before. The village radar had missed a pregnancy right under her own roof. Finally, Grace, the youngest, the prayer warrior, was nowhere to be found. She was later discovered in the city, having run away weeks ago to live a life that Mama Sarah had spent 20 years preaching against. The aftermath was a long, painful twilight. Mama Sarah, the woman who always had a word for everyone, was suddenly speechless. She stayed in her house for 40 days. She couldn't walk to the stream. She couldn't sit at the market. Every time she looked at her neighbors, she saw the reflection of her own judgment. The mothers she had mocked, those whose children had struggled but were honest about it, were the ones who eventually brought her food. They didn't mock her. They simply said, "Mama Sarah, take heart. We are all walking in the dark. We just need to hold our lamps differently." That was her greatest lesson. She realized that by spending all her energy monitoring the village, she had left her own children to grow up as strangers. She had taught them how to look good, but she never taught them how to be good. She was the lamp that lit the path for the strangers, but let her own family trip in the shadows. Southlanders, let this journey settle in your spirit. The moral is simple, but it can save your life. Mind your own garden. The time you spend gossiping about another person's child is time you are losing with your own. The energy you use to find the dirt in someone else's marriage is energy you are not using to water your own. Humility is the best insurance. If you don't judge others, you won't be crushed by your own mistakes. Pretense is a debt that must be paid with interest. You can act for the village, but you cannot act for your soul. Be a mother, not a monitor. Be a father, not a judge. If you have learned the power of focusing on your own home today, type, "I am tending to my own garden" in the comments. Let's support one another instead of monitoring one another. Thank you for staying through this epic journey on Soft Words Naija. If this story touched you, share it with your family. Subscribe to our community of Softlanders, where we choose wisdom over noise. Stay soft, stay humble, and stay blessed. I'll see you in the next one.